Good guys, my name is Lord Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog item collect review. As you know, I'm Lord Tomo with the good old Blues there, Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's bring aside and bring out one of the most cutest plushes ever created in such a long while. For obvious reasons, one of which is being how adorable his face looks already. So already straight out the bat, what I'm going to be saying about this plush is phenomenally positive, simply because it's such a unique piece, especially when you're getting into plushes in general, may that be Pokemon, Mario, or Sonic. But in this particular case, being that I am a Sonic related channel, I'm exclusively going to be talking in reference to this in comparison to every other plush, in that this is unique. This is not something you see every day. This is referred to, if I bring the correct listing, the Sonic the Hedgehog Sonic Boom Emoji Sonic 8-inch plush Sleepy version. I'm probably going to abbreviate it. I'm probably just going to call it Sonic Boom Sonic the Hedgehog 8-inch plush Sleepy, probably something along those lines. Now essentially Tomy is the current license holder for manufacturing Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic Boom in this case, related items, and they've made several versions of the plush line, being the super deform head, standard 8-inch plushes, and of course they're making an Emoji series relating to, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh my god. I just need to pause it for a moment, just to really just to show you how much I think this series is phenomenal, simply because its uniqueness, and more so the fact to do with how phenomenally detailed and well structured these actual plushies are. So let's get into the pros and cons and all the fun little bits that my reviews more or less coincide. So this is from the Sonic Boom series. So this primarily focuses on Sonic and Tails. Now they have made, if I'm not mistaken, I think 4 from the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's 4, and they've made 2 Tails versions of these. They all are in similar build, but not entirely correct. The only thing similar is just the faces for now, but of course the difference is just the way they look, which is pretty contradictory in terms of how I describe that. But pretty much from the get-go, the series 1, which I'm calling this, is just, you have Sleepy Sonic, you have Smiling Sonic, you have Cute Sonic, and you have kind of like Sad Disappointed Sonic. And in Tails version that's currently released, is you have Cute Tails and Smiling Tails. And they're going to be making other Tails, and they are going to be making other Knuckles, which I cannot wait to get my hands on them. But enough chitter chatter, let's get into the actual review itself. So, straight off the bat, you have the head sculpt of Sonic, which encapsulates, from the front anyway, the essence that is the Sonic Boom character, that is Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, you have his floppy little ears, which if you look closely are phenomenally well stitched, given that this is something that should have been, that is mass produced. So I don't know what technique they're currently using in the factories, but they are phenomenally well produced. I would imagine, being that Sonic has pretty much the same sculpt in every single face pose, it will be easier for them to make. The only difference is of course the face. So his actual ears aren't stuffed with any material or cardboard or anything of that nature, so it is this kind of flimsy, not a flimsy material, but technique, which is just one material wrapped over the other, and that's for both ears, which for the most part actually does what it's meant to do, which is illustrate that he has ears, of course. On the actual side, you have kind of a curvature going on, and you have his concave mouth gag. I was going to call it mouth gag. His mouthpiece. It's not his mouthpiece, but you get what I mean. His mouth. And on the other side, you do have 3 quills, which indicate, of course, his headpiece. Now, from the front, it looks absolutely adorable and encapsulates perfectly in terms of the actual head sculpt, especially when you can start looking at the finer details, that is his eye sockets or his eye pupils, or whatever you really want to call them. I'm calling them eye sockets for what they are. Extremely well, see if you can see, extremely well stitched just across, just to give it that evenness, and it's just a phenomenally well stitched plush in entirety. In this one, it's Sleepy, of course, so in this case, you have his bubbly little nose, which isn't pivoted out in any way, so it's not extruding, it's literally just a flat end. It is what it is, it's just its design. And you have his sleepy eyes, and you have, of course, how adorable is that, his open mouth with a little jewel coming out. This series is so, I know I keep saying this word, but it is truly great and phenomenal, simply because you don't actually see this in as far as I can see, you never really see Sonic outside of his typical smiley pose, and maybe the occasional blink pose, but it's always a standard pose. In this one, you actually have Sonic in a different pose. I wouldn't say pose, but facial expression, which I think is extremely key to this particular line, and I hope this is going to sell, and I do think it's going to sell. So there's that. So that's his muzzle. That's what I was going to call it, his muzzle. Of course, you have his little scarf, which is pretty much semi-stitched onto his stomach, so you can see there. And of course, you have his big fat belly, which is also phenomenally well stitched, so you don't see any marks coming off or anything of that nature. Now, if you look at his tiny little feet, this is all just adorable. This is kind of in line with the Super Deformed series, in that the body's kind of small and the head's kind of bigger, but it has its own take to it, simply because in this particular series you have different facial expressions, which is a plus. So before we get to his feet, we get to his little hands. His hands, with the traditional Sonic Boom Sonic version of the pose, you have a lot of wrappings. In this one, you just have the one wrapping, which you can probably see just there. So his hands don't have any fingers or anything, which is quite alright. It's design, but you do have two little wrappings going around his his hands, which I think is adorable. If you go further down, you have of course his little hashtag, which says Sonic Boom, which has its obligatory information. Pretty adorable. If you go further down, you have more detail. That is his feet. Now, which has about three wrappings just around his top half of his shoe, which is pretty cute. And if you look at the bottom half of the buckle, which is exactly the same on the other one, it works perfectly. There it is. It works perfectly well. Of course, I wouldn't say this is a drawback, but it's just a nitpick of mine. You don't have any grips or any grooves on his feet like some of the, I'd probably argue, the higher tier plushes, which is perfectly fine. It is what it is. I just would have preferred some, I don't know, just little not red markings, like black little grooves there, or grip marks there, just to say that he has shoes. It is what it is. It's phenomenal in that sense. Now, what makes this design unique, besides of course his face being that it's different in each version, but in this case it's Sleepy, he's not proportioned to his, he's not proportioned already with his big head, but it's not proportioned sideways. So if you look at him sideways, it does look off, he does look off-putting, but it's not designed to be placed sideways. It's literally designed to be looking at the front, of course. So if you have an issue with that, I guess that's an issue that you have. But to me, being that its design isn't to be, its design isn't, being that its creation isn't designed to be placed or displayed on sideways, it makes perfectly sense why they wouldn't bother making it fat, because it's not really, I see these small plush as a display piece than an actual mess around piece as is. So it is what it is. Of course, at the actual back you do have his scarf, which literally wraps around him, and I thought this was off-putting at first, but then I was like, you know what, it grew on me. His actual tail is literally just kind of like stitched on. Yeah, so it's not stick or anything, it is literally stitched on. I would have preferred to have a little tail just to waggly around, but it kind of works in the mold of the way and the image they were going for, which is odd for me to say, but it works well. So that's a little tail. You can't grab it, but it is what it is. Overall, the sculpting and the stitching is phenomenal, which I guess is how they're able to basically mass produce this, being that the only difference is of course the face, which is what it is. This does have shortcomings, of course. I will just one quickly. Here's the actual headpiece. So literally, if you want to hang it, so if you just hold it, of course you hold it there. My only worry with this is it obviously moves, but my only worry with this is if somebody cuts this off, or if there's enough pressure, or I'll probably say years over time, this might eventually come off, and this might eventually just rip off, and you won't have any other way to actually hang it. Really depends on the sort of person you are. I'm going to have my one sitting down with Plush, so it's going to look like that. It looks like he's going to be relaxing and enjoying his rest on another Plush, which I think is adorable. There is one shortcoming, of course, which I have to address, because it is something that always bothers me when Sonic Boom merchandise comes out. In this particular case, Tony, they always put the hashtag massively on his head. Now, I know why they do it. Mass appeal, draw people in, pick it up, that sort of stuff. But as from a collector's point of view, I would have preferred it maybe at the back, or maybe just on the hashtag. In this instance, I would have preferred it at the back. Less obscure, and you can keep it as mint condition as possible. So there's like a shoes tag, and you have just the word Sonic Boom. It's just to promote the cartoon and probably game, and just obligatory information. It is massive. I would have preferred a smaller, but that's from a collector's point of view. From an advertisement point of view, it makes sense why you have something this big, because it is a prominent design. Basically, you sit there, you can actually see, you can pick it up and all that fun stuff. That's pretty much the only major complaint that I have. Of course, I would have preferred grips there, but that's just a nitpick. It isn't an actual design, but it is what it is. Overall, this plush is phenomenal. The whole entire series is phenomenal. So when I get to the other ones, it's just me praising it. Covering the same thing, but praise. Just praising it because I do think it is great, truly great. Now, how much did I get it for? I got it for roughly about $13. I think it's a pretty decent price considering, you know, the way it's designed, the way it's well stitched, the way it just looks well presented. I don't think it's expensive. I can't speak for everybody, of course. Of course, if you want to pick the other ranges, you can see how the prices will go up. I purchased them all, the ones up to the current generation, and I think it's worth its weight in gold. Where did I get it? Of course, I had to buy online because in Australia they don't like us and they don't sell these kind of merchandise, or the stores that I go to, I don't see it as often. I would imagine you can purchase this at any major retailer, both in Europe and of course the US, being Toys R Us and all the fun stuff. And in the UK, I think they have their own versions, of course. It's definitely worth a pick. It's definitely worth putting in your collection. And if I can recommend any plushies, I would probably recommend this series, simply because it is unique, and I do foresee this possibly being a very rare series down the track. Now, I don't often say that because, you know, it is what it is, but how often do you actually see a sleepy plush version of Sonic? I have yet to see another one like this, to be honest. So it's definitely worth a pick, I think. I cannot praise this plush anymore. I do want to make one added point just before I finish up. His body isn't stuffed with the conventional way. It looks like he has like little bean balls or something, and that's only prominent in his stomach, not his arms or his legs. His legs and feet and all that are stuffed with something else, just normal stuffing, but his actual body feels like it's got like a little beanbag effect. I don't know if that's a thing they were going for, but it's adorable. But come on, look at him. He's got his little scarf, and his scarf, it doesn't even go all the way back. So just imagine them sitting down. How cute is that? You got a sleeping Sonic when you sleep. Adorable. So guys, let me know what your thoughts on this. I think this is a great plush to have in your collection. Definitely your weight in gold. Rarity, 1 out of 10. It is common. You can purchase it anywhere. I got it from toywiz.com at the time. Got a mass order, which I think is adorable. I'm going to just pat him. You know, guys, of course, thank you for watching. Speed on, take care, and of course, see you next time.